All right, welcome everyone. We'll start with questions for Coach Fisher. We will start with Pavi with HNB Media.
How you doing, Coach?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. So I think a lot has been made about, maybe some of the quote unquote disadvantages of, being in the bubble situation. But for you, do you assume there being, or can you foresee there being any advantages to everybody being in one concentrated area?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that, and I believe that some other coaches have spoken to this as well. It's hard to explain how difficult the travel is on teams over the course of a season. The amount of travel and time zone changes and, being on and off of the airplanes for athletes that are, breaking their bodies down every day, essentially. The inflammation levels and just the discomfort, not in terms of being fortunate enough to travel for your job, but the real impacts of playing basketball. So I think some of the limitations in travel and being in one place, being in one time zone for an entire season, there's science that proves that that's better. And so hopefully, all teams, for the benefit of the league, can find ways to take advantage of the fact that we're all going to be on an even playing field in terms of being in one time zone, being in the same place. And hopefully, as everybody finds their rhythm, it'll lead to better basketball than teams showing up on the road back-to-backs or, having to fly from LA to New York and play an 11 o'clock Eastern game one day later. That doesn't always benefit the fans that are watching those games. So hopefully there'll be some advantages for everybody.
I'll go to Tukni Nguyen with the LA Times.
Hi, Coach. I'm thinking specifically because we're talking to TRP later today, in her being on the Social Justice Committee. So I wanted to ask you if you were thinking back on when you were a player, how has the needle moved when it comes to player involvement and really league involvement regarding speaking on social issues and where we are now to having players and really kind of take the forefront in these conversations?
Yes, great question. I think the needle has definitely moved. I think, in this country, I think we're finally ready to have these conversations and to feel uncomfortable while we do it. For many years, definitely the generation that I came through, it just was not something that was as acceptable for players to speak to issues that maybe we did not have experience in, right? If we were not social activists, then, what role do we play in that regard? But that was just conditioning, that was, we were taught that was the right way to do it when we had examples of Muhammad Ali and Tommy Smith and other athletes that had taken, certain positions and stands and maybe in the moment were looked at in a negative way, but then looking back in history, they actually were the real heroes, not just because of what they did athletically, but, having a position in terms of what things were happening in the country at those times. So I think for TRP, we're proud of her for being at the forefront of these conversations and on that committee. And we want to partner with all of our players to provide that space and platform for them while we're here so that they do not feel like we're asking them to tune that off and only concentrate on basketball when it's required of all of us to pay attention and be involved in these conversations right now.
Michelle Vopel, ESPN.
Coach Fisher, we talked to you earlier before the bubble about Simone and what she brought to the team. Can you talk about now, especially in these different circumstances, how a player that has so much experience and is a leader, how does she impact you guys?
Honestly, Michelle, I had no idea how much she would impact us in terms of her personality and who she is as a woman. Like, obviously, her resume and the things that she's capable of doing on the court. We have plans for those things. We're going to find a way to try and help her be successful and our team be successful, when she's on the court. But I had no idea she was as funny as she is. And some of the moments that where she's just kind of cracking everybody up and bringing a level of brevity and lightness to sometimes what can feel mundane, right? When you're coming to practice and workouts and shooting and practicing every day, it starts to feel the same. And Simone is amazing at breaking that up and giving us all reasons to feel like the game is supposed to be fun. Every time she walks in, you know, there's a light about her that I think has positively impacted our group. And, you know, it reminds me of what Shaq used to offer for our teams my first 8 years in LA. Shaq was one of the most dominant, most accomplished players on the court, but his sense of humor and the fact that he always wanted to find a way to bring a laugh or joy to everybody, that helped us to fight the pressure sometimes that great teams, you know, have to battle. So that's really what caught me by surprise. The first few times I met Simone, she may have said 2 words. And then since we've been here, the real Simone has arrived, and it's been fun to be around her every day.
Last question for Coach Fisher today will go to Miriam Swanson with the LA Daily News.
Hi, Coach.
Hi, Miriam.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. Hey, so just kind of a safety precaution question about the wobble. Brittany Sykes mentioned that like they're not supposed to hug each other, and Chelsea mentioned that you guys are all kind of staying in and being careful that way. You mentioned potential social distancing during games. Like what all are you guys doing sort of in that regard to kind of be safe, especially with numbers spiking there in Florida?
Yeah, I mean, we're really trying to, you know, be the leader in that regard in terms of our team and our players, our coaches trying to adhere to the protocols and guidelines. Honestly, other than being on the court, like during practice, we're limiting any other major physical contact. You know, we have our masks on. Any other time we see each other in the hotel or moving around the campus, everybody has their masks on. You know, we're elbow bumping and fist bumping from the distance. No real hugs and handshakes, and just trying to respect the fact that, you know, this is real. And so that's what the experience has been like. You know, we have our temperature taken when we're walking in the gym every day. We have to take our temperature every morning and submit that information into the medical folks. So there's a real active process in making sure that everybody's staying healthy. We've been doing COVID testing every day and just trying to make sure we're doing everything that we can control to keep our players, you know, safe and healthy. And that's something that we can't let up on. There is no time to become complacent in that area. And we feel like we can utilize the discipline it's going to take to stay safe and healthy due to COVID is the discipline that you need to be great at anything, right? So if we want to be great at being safe and healthy, we have to pay attention to the details and do them the right way. If we want to be great at basketball as a team, we have to pay attention to the details and do things the right way. So we're just trying to do our part and protect everybody here.
Thank you, Derek.
Thanks.
All right, everyone, that was head coach Derek Fisher. He'll be available every single day after practice. And then, of course, he'll be doing a much longer session on Media Day on Friday for those that we didn't get to. Coming up, we have 3 players, Sydney Weiss, Tiara Ruffin-Pratt, and Simone Augustus shortly. All right, questions for Sydney Weiss. We'll start with Gabe Ibrahim with Winsider.
Hey, Sydney, glad to see you're in a good mood. I was wondering, you know, do you see everyone being in the same place as an advantage in terms of like when there's a losing streak? Is that going to be a good or bad thing when things are not going well?
I mean, I think what I love about this environment is it's really simplified. So we wake up, we take care of our bodies, we practice, we play basketball, we eat. So it's like we eat, breathe, sleep, basketball. And so for each team that's here, we're all finding our rhythm, getting back into the rhythm of practicing, getting prepared for a season. But what I love is it's pretty simple. You just got to show up and do your job, take care of yourself. And that's the way it is across the league.
Go over to Stacy Pates.
Well, good morning, sis.
Good morning.
First of all, there's not going to be any losing streaks, Gabe, but no, that was a great question. You talked a little bit about how things are set up in terms of you live, eat, breathe basketball. I know that you personally thrive in structure. Understanding that nothing is perfect, the situation is not ideal, as we all knew going in, and people are doing their very, very best to make it run as smoothly as possible. What are some of your other personal experiences of being in the Wubble?
I've actually really enjoyed it. I think because of the structure, because of how simplified it's become, there's no distractions. And we started out here by acknowledging the fact that we have to be able to adjust on the fly. Things are going to come up, things are going to be rescheduled. And so being understanding and having grace with the league, with our team, and making the most of any opportunity that we have together, but also keeping in mind that the reason why we're here is because of the pandemic that is still going on. And so making sure that we follow that protocol, focusing on health and safety, taking care of ourselves, and then enjoying the environment. I think the league has really done an awesome job taking care of us. They've done above and beyond to make us feel comfortable, to make us feel safe. And so I really do appreciate the effort that they've put into this, that our union has put into getting these negotiations in this league, this season happening. I mean, for it to even be happening is a blessing within itself. And so now that we're here, we just have to make the most of it, embrace it, roll with the waves that are presented to us. And, we get to play basketball. We get to be united in this front as an organization and as a league. And so I think it's pretty cool for us to do that right now.
Go over to Danielle McCartan with WAFN in New York.
Hi, Sydney. You're talking about how much you love this environment, and we've heard good and bad things both about it. But do you think that maybe this could be an initiative for the future? Not everybody all in one location in the country, but maybe an LA Sparks Wubble and a New York Liberty Wubble, etc.
Well, I think what's missing is our fans. That's what makes the game so special. I talk about things being simplified, but that's because of what's been presented to us right now. Ideally, it would be nice to be able to play in our home environments, in the away arenas. We want fans to be able to be present, to be engaged, to have that environment, to have that noise, to have that fire behind us. And so I know that's one thing that I'm going to be missing this season. I appreciate that we even have the opportunity to play, but I would love to. I can't wait to get back to Staples next season, and I'm sure the rest of the teams feel the same way to get back to their home base.
Erica Ayala.
Hey, Sydney. Glad to speak with you today. I wanted to ask you about outside of basketball, what has been brought to the Wubble is obviously the Social Justice Council and lots of conversations that have happened in the league for years. I would like to ask, though, what would you like to be able to engage in personally when it comes to those conversations? And what do you hope to bring to those conversations that will be ongoing this season?
I think what you said is perfect. I want to have conversations. I want to ask a lot of questions. I want to listen. And that's what I'm here to do. I brought a lot of books that I plan on reading this summer. And I know this first week has been getting adjusted to this environment, getting our feet underneath us, understanding what the schedule is, how it works. And so, but I want to be more intentional in making time to educate myself and asking a lot of questions to my teammates or to anybody, and to hear their perspectives and to hear their stories. And so it's really cool to have that opportunity. But I also want to keep in mind that I want to respect people as well. I want to learn and do what I have to do and educate myself. And I'm thankful that I have a lot of resources at my disposal, whether it's social media. Instagram has been amazing to teach me some things, and Twitter as well. But I've just been trying to be a lot more intentional with what I am feeding myself and what I'm seeing, and trying to keep an open mind to how I can be better. And so really being active in seeking conversations and keeping an open heart, open mind. And I'm always open to learning about people and hearing their stories. I love that opportunity.
Well, sorry, I was on mute. Last question for Sydney today. We'll go to Megan Hines with the swab report. Go ahead, Megan.
Hi, Sydney. I just wanted to ask, since you've been recovered from COVID, how have you been feeling physically ever since that, and how you've been working towards being more prepared for the season?
Yeah, I was fortunate because my case was mild. And so even when I had the virus, I was working out before I got tested. And so then once I heard I tested positive, I tried to make sure that I fully recovered. I didn't want anything to be lingering. And so I stayed mindful of how I felt. And if I felt tired, I was like, you know what, let me just take the day off and not try and push myself. There's no point. But ever since I fully recovered, got my negative test, I've been able to ease back into conditioning, working out, doing a lot of yoga. When I was at home waiting to hear about season, I actually took a lot of time off from playing basketball just to move and work on different muscles within my body. Because when you're in basketball, you're pounding on the same muscles pretty frequently. And so that was pretty beneficial for me to sort of learn how to be fit as a person and as an athlete going towards another season. And so since I was able to get past the virus, I've felt really good. I'm thankful most for my parents. They didn't get the virus. As far as I know, I didn't give anybody the virus. And so that was my biggest concern. I felt good the whole time, and I don't feel anything since that happened a couple months ago. So I'm very grateful.
Thank you, Sydney.
Go Sparks.
All right, Simone Augustus is on deck. As a reminder, if you've asked a question and don't have a follow-up or another one, please try to lower your hand because it won't do that automatically. So it's hard to determine if you have another question or it's just still up.
Breathe. Huh? So this is weird.
Hey, Simone.
Is that Eli?
It's Eli. Can you see me?
Oh, okay. We got to look up.
Yeah. So
I feel like I'm looking at the ceiling like.
Since it's your first time, the reporters can hear us. You won't be able to see them, but I'm going to call on them, and then you'll hear them asking the question and just speak up into the camera there. All right, we'll start with Michelle Vopel with ESPN.
Hi, Simone. You know, we talked to you earlier this year just about what this was going to be like, and you could never have imagined back in February what it would be like. But what's it been like for you to change teams like this, but do it in this setting? And how do you feel like your leadership skills are helping with that?
It's been great. My teammates have been amazing, just helping me, kind of get acclimated to LA style of play, terminology, different lingos that they use, just helping me get into a comfort zone here. Like you said, I never imagined, in February that I would be here, but, now being here feels, like home, having a coach like Fish, who's basically like a player's coach. He's been in my position before, as a player that played in his older age and knowing how to take care of his body and what needs to happen. So it's been great. As far as the setting, it's also been, kind of good. For me, it feels kind of like overseas. You have to be at home a lot. It's almost like quarantining. So you spend a lot more time with your teammates. You get to know them a little bit more. You have cookouts, you do things like that. So that helps with the team chemistry, in the setting. And then as far as like, you say practices and stuff like that, it's real quick. You get in, get out. But in that time, it's really intense, and you're really focused in on what you have to do, because we only have 12 days before the first game, and we've been off for 3 months. So it's a lot to learn in a little bit of time, and that's where the leadership kicks in for myself, Candace, NECA players that have been, in situations that have been needed for this time. So it's been great.
John W. Davis, Winsider.
Hi, Simone. I'd like to kind of go a little bit more into that question. Has there been a moment yet inside this bubble, this wobble, when you just like really realized that like, yo, I play for the Sparks now?
Probably, I mean, I think it was before, like when we got to, what was it, Chatsworth prior to getting here. And we got to LA when the plane parked. I was like, I'm actually like, I'm in LA. You know, fans, friends, everyone around has been like, yo, like a lot of people are still processing that I play for the Sparks. And, you know, just hearing that, like people hit me up like, man, I forgot that you play for the Sparks. Yo, this is crazy. So just kind of getting those few days of work or that week or two of work in Chatsworth really like helped me settle into new team, new me, new everything. So it's been cool.
We'll go over to Charles Hallman with the Minnesota Spokesman. And I think you said you had a follow-up, so if you can just try to ask it all at once, please.
Good morning, Simone.
Hello.
Jonelle had a daughter.
Oh, tell them congrats. Awesome. Future links, right? Future player.
Yep, future links.
Yeah.
Biggest question, what have not been asked of you about your being on your new team? I know you've been asked so many questions, but what you haven't been asked about being on your new team, and what has been your biggest adjustment that you have to make being on a second team that you haven't been on before?
For me, the hardest thing was just how people view me. Like, I don't see myself how other people see, you know, they like the GOAT and all this kind of stuff. I don't see myself as that. And so when like, you know, lately when people deal with me, it's like they deal with me in that way, like, they put me up here. And I'm like, nah, when you coach me as a teammate. When you talk to me as if you're talking to, you know, a rookie, second year player, third year player. Like, I'm trying to get better just like everyone else. I'm in a new situation with a new opportunity. And you know, I just want to embrace that situation. So it's mainly just the way people communicate, because they give so much respect and it's much appreciated. But at the same time, I'm here and I have a purpose, and I want to make sure that we all, you know, align with that. You're not putting too much respect on it as far as, you know, allowing me to slip up and not being able to give what I can give to this team.
Thank you. Time for just two more for Simone. Christina Williams, Girls Talk Sports. Go ahead, Christina. Are you there? Okay, we'll go to Miriam Swanson.
Hi, Simone. Hey, so I appreciate you wearing the mask.
I follow protocol. Todd DeMoss is roaming around here finding people now.
Well, that's kind of my question. I was wondering what's the precautions being taken there? Because obviously, I mean, Fisher mentioned that you guys are all taking it very seriously, and obviously cases are rising in Florida. So how safe do you feel, and what are you guys doing, you know, precaution-wise?
I mean, as safe as we can feel. I know a lot of people are worried as far as like being in Florida, the cases are rising and things like that. But as far as being on campus, you know, they are taking whatever protocols that they have from the tram rides. Every tram ride is every 20 minutes. The drivers of the rides are wiping them down. The hotel is intact. I know early on the girls were posting videos and pictures of stuff like that. You know, those are new things. This is unknown, uncharted territory for a lot of people. So you got to give us a chance, or give the league a chance to kind of clean some of those things up. And from my perspective, they've done a great job of making sure the laundry room that everyone has seen on social media, wherever, has been redone and has, you know, been reworked out. Everything else as far as like sanitizing, hand wipes, making sure people are quarantined inside at a certain time. Those things are in place. We get deep cleaning in our rooms every 2 or 3 days to make sure that, you know, the bed bugs and every other thing that was going on prior to is taken care of. So the league has really stepped up and made sure that the players are as safe as they can be, or feel as safe as they can, you know, in this situation. And then obviously in practice, the coaches wear gloves, sometimes masks. The players obviously can't perform and play, you know, wear masks and all of that. But when we're off the court, like right now, we make sure we have our mask on, make sure we have sanitizer with us at all times as we go around each facility or whatever. So even right now, the practice courts are getting clean. We just got off. So it's like an hour between each segment before the next team gets on. They're cleaning up the floors as we speak. So they've done a wonderful job of making up for the initial arrival things that we had, like the run-ins that we had, they've done a great job of making sure we're where we need to be.
I think Christina's on for this last question. Christina? All right. So it doesn't look like it's working. You're good, Simone.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, last up we have Tiara Ruffin-Pratt. Hey, TRP, can you see me?
What's up? Yep, I can hear you.
All right, so since it's your first time, the reporters are on the line. You won't be able to see them, but they can hear both of us right now. So I'll call on them and you'll be able to hear the question, but I think you can only see me.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go right into it. Questions for TRP. We'll start with Erica Ayala.
Hey, Tiara, Erica here. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the Social Justice Council. As I understand, it was actually the league that suggested your name. That's what Lasia Clarendon had said. I'm curious to know what you hope to bring to that council and what you hope to learn through your participation.
Yeah, Laisha texted me and was like naked threw my name out there. Thought it was important for me to be involved because I've dealt with a lot of this stuff personally, between my cousin being killed by a cop and then one of my other cousins being killed by another kid just with gun violence. So I think I can bring some stuff from a personal note from my end. We're just trying to get justice for those who can't stand for themselves, and for African Americans in this country that are being targeted just by police brutality or gun violence in itself. So I'm trying to help in any way that I can possible. I know from a personal standpoint that getting justice is very important, but justice to me may not be justice for someone else. So just being able to be there and be a helping hand in any way that I can.
Holly Rowe, ESPN.
Hey Tiara, good to see you. I just wanted to ask you, like, everybody's kind of new coming through the first few days of practice after long layoffs that are unusual for you. How have you reacted, and how would you say the team as a whole has reacted to, getting back onto the court together and actually playing some basketball?
I think we're adjusting really well. Fish is doing a great job, just kind of like bringing us in easy, not trying to do too much on our bodies. We're an older team now, so we're kind of just teaching right now. We got a good amount of new players, but our core is still solid. So I think we're just like taking it step by step, not cutting any corners, starting at the fundamentals, the basics, and then working our way up. So I think it's been a good transition from being home for 3-4 months, then being in LA for 2 weeks, getting some individual work, now being in a team setting, kind of just taking it step by step.
Tukneen Ewan with the LA Times.
Hi, TRP. Going back to the Social Justice Committee thing, like, what kind of visions do you have in terms of the actions that you guys will take and the conversations you guys will lead as players in the WNBA on these issues?
I think we all are just trying to stand for what's going on in this country. There's been a lot of social injustice, police brutality, racism. I think we want to take a stand and make it known that it's not okay, and we're not going to stand for it in this league. And I know even though we're locked away in this bubble, we can still use our platforms as best we can, get everybody on the same page within the league, and just get our voices out there and continue to be heard. Even though we are not able to be out on the front lines, still putting the word out for those who are out there still working for us, and still letting our voices be heard by doing things like we are now with the media, posting on social media, and just letting our voices be heard in any way possible.
Time for two more today. We'll go to Stacey Pates.
Hey T, to say that I'm proud
Looks like an audio issue, Stacey. Sorry, looks like Stacey was having an audio issue. We'll go to John W. Davis, the Insider.
Good afternoon, TRP. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. So I just wanted to ask you if we can, I appreciate, obviously, I appreciate everything that you're talking about when it comes to social justice and social injustice. But if I could ask you a basketball related question, what do you think, or how do you think you can take your game to another level this season, offensively and even defensively? What can you do to be better?
I just always do whatever the team needs me to do. I've always been that defensive threat, but just being able to be that next man up, always be prepared. I know a lot of people on other teams don't see me as an offensive threat, but just being that piece that the team needs. If they need me to be a spot-up shooter, I'll be that. They need me to be a slasher, I'll be that. But just helping the team out in any way possible. I'm always working on my game, always ready to be what the team needs me to be. So